नमस्ते, हरि ओम। ओम श्री परमात्मने नमः। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। मातृभ्यो पितृभ्यो नमः। सर्वेभ्यो देवेभ्यो नमः। I welcome all of you to this session on material, that is intelligence quotient, and spirit, that is spiritual quotient. This question is asked to me many a times. You are a neurosurgeon, why are you practicing yoga? So it clicks to me again and again that why people have to ask this question. And because I am trained as a neurosurgeon, I know how brain works. There is something called as logical brain, and there is something called as emotional brain. And because the logical brain is dominant, we always will find things in linear pattern. And because of that, we always think that if a person is practicing allopathy, then he should only talk about, or he should only practice the modern ways of living. However, this is not true. As we are born, we gain one identity. As we grow, we gain newer and newer identities. To my mother, I am son. To my father, I am a son. To my brother, I am a brother. To my wife, I am husband. To my children, I am a father. And so on and so forth. Out of that, being neurosurgeon is just a very small, tiny identity of mine. However, as we see all around us, our profession takes over our identity as a whole, and what happens is we play ourselves as only the dominant aspect of our personality, that is our profession. And that is where we start limiting our potential to learn. Somewhere as we grow our CV in terms of our achievements in the professional life, we limit our potential to learn. IQ is exactly about that. IQ is a limiting factor, and spiritual quotient is expanding factor. So we will understand IQ to SQ. Can anybody identify? I will be seeing in the chat, there is no need to unmute yourself. Can anybody identify this person? I'll be seeing in the chat. Okay. No. Okay. Can anybody identify this person? Oh, it is not Carl Jung. Okay. On the right side, that is Maharshi Patanjali. Definitely correct. We will see who this person is. So this person was from recent past, and Patanjali is thousands of years old. Okay. However, we could not identify that person. So that person is highly intelligent. Why that person is intelligent, we will come to know. Now this is the Google or Oxford definition of intelligence: the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. An eminent man of great intelligence. That is how we describe great personalities. One more definition of intelligence is the collection of information of military or political value. That is the chief of military intelligence, which we use to understand the movements of our enemies. So I had requested many of you that please send me questions, because this is the way the ancient wisdom was transmitted. The student, that is the Shishya, used to ask question, and the Guru used to deliver on the doubts of the Shishya. Please mention any experience of yours where high IQ could not help a person in real life. If not interested, please mention nil. If interesting anecdotes will be discussed in the session without revealing the identity. So I had asked, and many of you beautifully described so many things. So we will go through this one. While dealing with relationship, sentimental situations, IQ will not help. Very good. Humanitarian did not require IQ. Somebody has written this, very nice statement. There is a boy whose name is Jacob Barnett from Canada, and he has an IQ of 170. He has moderate to severe autism. I have seen his TED speech, and he went on to college at the age of 10 years. There are many people with high IQ, but that itself becomes a problem for them, like housewives. From this statement, I can understand the gender of this person, most probably female. What use is high IQ in her life if what is expected from her is only cooking and bringing up kids? No great opportunity to show talent or be useful to mankind. So most probably she is Indian. That also I can understand out of this. However, she is in a dilemma. And I would like to say one thing here, that the most important role in this world is of the mother. It's huge responsibility, and through the mother only we all are born. After we are born, when we are out in the world, how we behave, how we conduct ourselves is because how our mother is going to train us. So I am grateful to my mother who has trained me in yoga, in naturopathy, in all aspects of life, so that I could gain knowledge, I could gain wisdom, and I could present myself in a better way to the world. I always feel that rearing children is one of the most important aspects in the existence as human beings. And that is where you all will agree that parenting, not only motherhood, fatherhood also is important, and through our parents only we gain the navigation of life. So that is why please do not just limit yourselves to cooking and bringing up kids. When you have given birth to kids, it means that you are giving birth to great personalities, maybe like Swami Vivekananda, maybe like APJ Abdul Kalam, maybe like great Einstein. We don't know. So that is why take your parenting as a great responsibility. Do not take it just like some regular task. Okay? High IQ but alcoholic, did not support family. So alcoholism is another problem which we all face. Alcoholism, we can take it towards addiction. Now what is addiction? That is a different story, we will not consider here, but it means that even if addiction is harmful to our health, high IQ is not going to help us. It is that understanding, the deeper understanding of our life, we will be able to make good decisions rather than bad decisions. It has more limitations of a discriminative living. In my previous job, I was really scared by my boss and unable to have a normal relationship with her. I felt like she was able to kill me or leave me alive. It's very scary. See here, the intelligence quotient does not help. Correct? There is one teaching small children around 6 to 10 years. I was in a medical emergency. All doctors had been placing facts that made the situation bleak for my daughter's survival. For more than a year, we were only getting her through various tests, not knowing if she would be a typical child. And I am so glad that I did not just rely on the IQ, as she is 17 and now perfectly fine. So I am very happy for your daughter. And yes, so many a times the logical, the linear ways of understanding things don't work. Modern medicine is all about linear understanding. It has become complex over a period of time, but the logical aspect is more prominent than emotional aspect. My brother-in-law is highly qualified and highly intelligent, argues about everything, trying to prove that he is always right. Okay, so see, this is where IQ has a limiting factor. You can become obnoxious to people around you. It becomes very stressful to be with such a highly intelligent person. So IQ can, make you socially isolated. So let us see how we will unfold all these things. So there is one more here, interesting things. Inner journey with focus on chakras. I don't know, this was not relevant to the question. I have been to a mental hospital once, and one person showed up very nicely dressed and groomed, greeted me and introduced himself as a director, and I was quite happy, impressed, as he took me for a hospital facility tour. And finally that person came to know that person was a patient. He was a mentally ill person and he was inpatient in that hospital. So it is not that our external appearance which matters, it is our internal understanding of life which matters the most. My relatively high IQ did not serve me well in life events where coping skills were required. Whether it is labeled as coping skills, emotional quotient, or social emotional hygiene, learning to respond, not react, leads to a calmer mind. For myself, working for engineers or PhD chemists, issues with authority led to anxiety and depression were overwhelming. This resulted to a 5-year cycle of employment and despair. Yes, definitely, most of us go through these kind of experiences in our professional life. However, when we have that extra boost in terms of spiritual quotient, we are able to take care of all these things in a better manner. For the God realization, for seeking the real truth, to find the real purpose of human beings, self-realization, God realization. A partner in a company very high on IQ cheated on his co-founders even though they trusted him for his intelligence. See, this is where even if you have high IQ, you will not be regarded as a good person. So it means that our degrees, our CV, our professional qualification does not matter. What matters is whether you are honest, whether you are truthful, whether you are a good human being or not. That matters the most. Only praying and support of family members is not with my intelligence. Somebody has told that experienced personal accident and incident was solved by only praying and support of family members, not with my intelligence. Yes. Several examples including myself. Yes, it is indeed helpful. This is one very interesting remark. It is indeed helpful. Somebody is telling that IQ is helpful, but one should decode the question properly with respect to time and its relationship to the matter of fact. It's a very nice remark. I am very much impressed with your remark. However, the question here was that please share some information where high IQ person has failed. So you have not mentioned that. It is a good advice. However, you have not understood this question properly. That is also fine, not a problem. Spirituality. Coming to spirituality, the quality of being concerned with human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things. And as you can see here, there is a distinction between spirituality and religion. In 21st century, where technology is highly advanced, we see still masses and masses of people getting misguided on the name of religion. Be it any religion. It's not a matter of one religion or other. Here we are not to prove that one religion is superior to other religion. Here we are to shift the notion of religion versus spirituality. Spirituality is to find the meaning of our life, is to find connection with universe, is to find how we should conduct our lives. However, in religion we have various practices, rituals, and we try to prove ourselves right and prove others wrong, and we try to find what is true and what is false. In that we have our personal ego where we identify ourselves as either Hindu or Muslim or Christian or Jain or Sikh or atheist or anything for that matter, and where we try to prove ourselves right because we are particularly born into that particular religion. Okay, so please contemplate on this aspect. What is spirituality and what is religion? I had asked one more question, that what is your definition of spirituality, and that I had given in the questionnaire also. So there are so many beautiful things people have written: awakening, who you really are, self-awareness, truth of life, self-realization, Atma and Paramatma, awareness that pleasure and happiness are different, very nice. Searching for universal consciousness, very good. The inner journey and realizing of the self. To understand how is life, travel towards your inner being, never failing to strive to be a better person. The way to see the world beyond materialism, very nice. The things which I am not reading are also very nice, but these are the words which caught my attention. The true nature of self, we are all the part of same consciousness. Very beautiful definition. Inner peace, to realize one's existence, can be felt with experience, and it requires broad mind and heart. I have known from my own experience is spirituality for me, rather than what anyone else told me in life. I agree to you partially. However, I have to tell you one thing, that there might be somebody to help you, and if you think that no, I will experience on my own and then only I will make it as a realization, then you are losing your time. Here what we should do is we should try to help each other. And many a times we have heard this very beautiful quote, where a person who learns from his own mistake is okay, but the person who learns from other person's mistake is genius. So on the path of spirituality also, we have lots and lots of people who do some mistakes, and through their mistakes also we can learn. So that is why keep your mind open. Okay, keep your mind open and try to learn from everybody. And maybe some person may tell you one or two good things. Today from you, from all of you, I am learning a lot of things. Even I am also learning. So it is important for all of us to keep our minds open. Think for others before ourselves. Very nice. Means like meditation, yoga, bliss, a lifestyle of the pursuit of truth. Very nice. Excellent. Differentiate between right and wrong to follow the right path. Very nice. Forgiving, being true to yourself, presence. That one word, the one word is the answer to everything. Being in the present moment. Beautiful, beautiful. That person is highly spiritual. I can vouch for that person. Very nice. Unperturbed to any problem and content. Know the working of our world. Yes. The greater whole of which we are part is cosmic or divine in nature. Yes, very nice. Finding oneness with the universal energy. Very good. Experiencing and being one with the universal energy. Once again, two people consecutively from different parts of the world have written almost the same thing. That is called as working of the universal consciousness or cosmic consciousness or collective consciousness. So once again, now I have to involve all of you once again. Can anybody identify this beautiful picture? Which plant it is? Maybe people from European descent may identify this plant. Okay, are you able to identify? Arminda ferreria. Yes, it is in your area only. I think you are from Italy. It is from your area only. Let us see. It's the plant which is called as hemlock. Do you know what plant was used to execute this grand person. Who is this person? This I think Arminda will be able to answer. Oh, you are from Portugal. Okay. Socrates. Yes. Socrates was executed. Do you know why he was executed? The death sentence of Socrates was the legal consequence of asking politico-philosophic questions of his students, which resulted in two accusations of moral corruption and impiety. So during that time, there was a huge divide between intelligence and spirituality. He was considered as one of the most intelligent persons during his time, and he was asking valid questions. He was questioning the authority in the temples. He was questioning various thought processes which were looking like something like not good for the society at large. And that is the place where the things got divided. Yesterday I was discussing with Raghuramji. I think Indica Yoga Academy knows Raghuramji very well. He is a faculty here also. We were discussing about some other topic, and then I told Raghuramji, tomorrow I am going to speak. Then he told, why not you take the example of Greek philosophers, intelligent philosophers who were questioning the authorities, and then because of their intelligence they were executed. So I told, okay, definitely Raghuramji, I will include this. So yesterday only I included this aspect. So it means that your intelligence can kill you. Then what to do? Even spirituality also can kill us. Then what to do? So we will see what were the thoughts of our great Socrates. An unexamined life is not worth living. Only thing I know, that what I know is nothing. To find yourself, think of for yourself. True knowledge exists in knowing that you know nothing. So first, when we want to become spiritual, we have to shed our ego. If I think that, oh, I am a neurosurgeon, I am a gold medalist, I am awarded this many fellowships, I am this, that, I have done 2500 surgeries, I am invincible. That is the point where my learning is stopped. And my knowledge also is rotten. Okay. So to improve myself, I should first of all know that whatever I know is nothing, negligible in front of the ocean of knowledge which is available, not only in one culture, in all the cultures around the world. Beware of the barrenness of a busy life. If I say, oh, I am very busy, I do this surgery, I do brain surgery, I do spine surgery, and keep myself busy in just my profession, I will not be able to grow as a person. And we see all around us, people trying to show themselves as busy. In that pursuit, they lose their own identity as such, for a inferior reason. When the debate is over, slander becomes the tool of the loser. There is only one good, knowledge, and one evil, ignorance. Now here you will see Patanjali also speaking the same thing. We will come to that. Education is the kindling of a flame, not filling of a vessel. So we should not try to pour the knowledge. Here today I am not here to pour the knowledge of Patanjali Yoga Sutras with you. Here I am just going to give one small spark to all of you, where we can together, we can evolve into cosmic consciousness. Okay. So it's not some kind of dictation, some kind of syllabus in the university where we have to finish this and finish that. No. Here we are trying to understand our own identity, trying to understand the purpose of our life. He is the richest who is content with the least, for the content is the wealth of the nature. Santosha. In Sanskrit, content is called as Santosha. We will see the same words have been spoken by Patanjali also. The only good is the knowledge and only evil is the ignorance. Once again it has been repeated. Now what is quotient? We took intelligence, we took spirituality, now we are coming to quotient. Quotient is a result obtained by dividing one quantity by another. Here I would like to say, whenever you divide something, whenever you compare something, even today we are also going to compare about the modern ways of understanding and the ancient ways of understanding. Sometimes the competition happens, and because of that one thing becomes more important and another thing becomes less important. I am not here to prove that IQ is inferior and SQ is superior. I am here to prove that when we are lacking in one, we have to improve in that. That is what is the intention of my session today. And we all have seen, we will see with few more examples today, a degree or amount of a specified quality or characteristic. Okay. So what is this quality here? I means intelligence, S means spiritual. Okay. So how do we calculate this? We calculate by putting some questions, and then through that we calculate the mental age of the person, and then we find out the birth day of that person, birth date, and then we calculate the chronological age and multiply it by 100. Okay. Now what happens with that? What has happened? 2% of population is considered to be high IQ, and 160 plus is considered as genius. Okay. And now here very important thing I am going to speak. Various examinations are there all across the planet where they use these IQ tests to take the students into their universities or into the courses. Okay. And that is a business of, in India, only in India, it is the coaching of all these things is a business of $6.4 billion per year. It has become highly competitive, and every parent wants their children, they want to coach their children through various prestigious institutes, and that has created a huge business out of it. And many a times now, because of so much of competition, we know in current era that white hat junior thing is happening, where children are being forced to learn coding. I do not want to go into the details of that. However, I feel that it is not mandatory, and the way the parents are being lured through various kinds of packages shown through Google or through Microsoft or something, that's absolutely not called for. And that is the greed which plays a role there, and parents think that okay, through this life will be settled, which does not happen so, and through which this is a $6.4 billion industry in India. Now there are some unfortunate beings who have lesser IQ and they need nursing care if the IQ is profound 0 to 20, severe mental retardation 20 to 35, can learn to talk and develop healthy habits. We would have seen some kind of people like these in and around our family, in the society. We would have seen, as doctors we have always seen, 35 to 50 is educable to 2nd grade, needs sheltered care, and 50 to 70 educable to 6th grade, minimally self-supporting. Okay. So now somebody asked me, this question is from all of you, that we see some cases a small child is so matured in its ways even with very little experience. What brings in that level of maturity? Now the answer is very simple. As we grow, we acquire impurities. So when a child is there, child is naturally dwelling into the samadhi state. Child is in very much connection with the cosmic consciousness. That purity of mind is always there. Children don't have so much of greed, so much of competition, jealousy, and all these things is not there. We call those things as Shadripu, that is Kama, Krodha, Mada, Moha, Lobha, Matsarya. All these things, they develop as we grow. Children don't have that. Now some of you may tell that no, we have seen some children doing all these things. Then they are born with that karma, or else their parents are like that, and through their parents they catch those energies and they manifest those kind of negative Asuri Sampat also. So answer is the purity of mind. So that person whom I had shown was Alfred Binet, and he is from France. He himself did not believe that this IQ assessment, that his psychometric instruments could be used to measure a single permanent inborn level of intelligence. After he made this, he had a doubt. Binet stressed the limitations of the test, suggesting that intelligence is far too broad a concept to quantify in a single number. Instead, he insisted that intelligence is influenced by many factors, that it changes over time, and that it can only be compared in children with similar backgrounds. It's extremely important. The kind of intelligence Asian children will have, African will have different kind of things. Europeans will have different, because we are born in different geographical areas with different levels of development. So for that we have to understand. And then it was slightly it was named as Alfred Binet, and then Simon was also there. So both of them were named and into the test. Okay. There was American scientist who came into the picture, and here the intelligence quotient comes into a dark space. We always see greatest of the greatest inventions have been used for benefit of the humanity. At the same time, like nuclear bomb, like dynamite, all these things have been used to destroy the humanity as well. Okay, so here comes this gentleman. This gentleman created he created improvised version, American version of the test, which was called as Stanford Binet intelligence test. And this person's name was Lewis Terman, and he used these tests for military recruitment. Now here things become interesting. He divided the military into various alpha, beta and all these things depending upon the intelligence of the people. Okay, he was a great proponent of something called as eugenics. I'll take a pause here. If you know what is eugenics, you can type and show me. Oh yes, great. Study of improvement of the human race. Now improve to what standard? We have to take something as a standard, no? Now that is where the things become hazy, things become dark. Okay, so now is all well with Terman? No, Terman, even if he created all these things, he expanded all these things, and the studies were conducted on millions of people. Okay, at one point this fellow, he administered English test to native Spanish speakers as well as unschooled black children, and concluded that the ensuing low scores were the result of inheritance and had a racial basis. He was a person of so-called high intelligence, and he did whatever he did in this. All of us can agree that he was highly racist in this case, and he had lacked intelligence at that point. How can you compare a fish with an elephant? That is what he did, and that is what we see in the memes nowadays, correct? Terman was also a member of Human Betterment Foundation, a group that advocated, amongst other things, forced sterilization of those who were deemed mentally unfit. And if you see the first statement that happened, many people of different languages were sterilized. In thousands they were sterilized before government took some action. We'll go to some more dark space in this. The people who want to protect him, they told that he was a man of his less than enlightened time. I feel that he was not so intelligent, and he was not supposed to be there actually. Wished to protect and defend sciences and scientists, producing racist, xenophobic and oppressive ideological work. Eugenics and its influences on psychological sciences. Lots of influence was there. This idea I will give you in 21st century also. What is happening I will tell you in few minutes. Okay. Terman's work led to long-standing profound social inequalities such as racial school segregation. Those who are from US might agree to all of these things. I am not speaking, I have taken all these things from the internet, from very eugenics became openly questioned in relation to Nazi eugenic policies of segregation, sterilization and racial purity campaigns that led to Holocaust. So it created a huge amount of problem. Okay. Also the eradication of certain cultural subcultures upon whom negative characteristic had been attributed. Also the creation of hatred and division to stir up the adherence to concept given by dominant group, that is Nazi Germany. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your active participation. I am very happy to see your active participation. Terman not only believed in but advocated for eugenics. His research project was called as Genetic Studies of Genius. I have read some aspects of all these things, but some other day we will discuss, where he selected highly intelligent children and he wanted to save their lives, and very few of them became successful because their mentor himself was, I feel he was not of sound mental qualities. He openly assumed that high IQ kids would become future leaders of science, industry and politics. Nearly all white. So this is what it is. Now here the question from you, all of you. One of my schoolmates who was topper throughout his academics has off lately chosen the path where he is just playing with the feelings of many girls, one after another, in spite of having his own family. So here we are talking about infidelity, and exactly opposite of which is being practiced in Ashtanga Yoga, that is called as Brahmacharya. So he used to be a most sober person for anybody who know him. How can we bring people on the right path? Like in above case, because sometimes it's really heartbreaking to even feel the consequences of certain actions. So it's a very heavy question. A lot of discussion can happen on this. However, I will say only one thing, that when we understand the initial two steps, the initial two limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, that is Yama and Niyama, that itself can purify our life to a great extent. Ashtanga Yoga is Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. In Yama, here I would like to show that we are misguided in terms of yoga through various celebrities. What they do is, see, this kind of picture arrives, okay, where she is a very famous Indian actress. I feel that is, and I think most of us will feel that this kind of display, this kind of behavior in yoga, and many of the people in United States also and European descent also, they will agree that in practice of yoga also there is sometimes lot of attachment, lot of things happen, lot of uncontrolled things happen. Okay, it will come. Nandan KVG, it will come. It will come. All the things will come. Yes, Anurag Singh, 20th century produced such type of tools in Western world to segregate so that others become vulnerable for their propaganda. Yes, absolutely correct. Here, instead of we sulking over the fact that, oh, such a gloomy past, no, we have a bright future. And the bright future is in the present moment. That is what, that one word, no, I was like, it became all standstill when I saw that response from somebody. Presence. What is spirituality? Spirituality is presence. Why I am discussing all these things is to just understand that we don't repeat the mistakes what our ancestors did. Okay. Please, one very open request from my side, that please do not fall into the culture of following celebrities. Their lives are hollow. Their lives are based on exciting people through various things, through body, through music, through propaganda. Please do not fall prey to them and try to bring people out also from that. Now, there are 5 yamas and 5 niyamas. Ahimsa means non-violence, Satya means speaking the truth, Asteya means non-stealing, Brahmacharya means walking towards the Brahman, walking towards the purity, walking towards pure consciousness, that is Brahman. Now what is pure consciousness? Obviously, when you have a wife and you are having an affair, it means that your consciousness is impure. So like that, there are many aspects of purifying our consciousness. Aparigraha means not holding things which we don't need. As we see, there are many books who have written very nice things. However, when we try to practice, when we do the abhyasa of all these things, at that point we realize the things how they are put into action. Putting the things into action is extremely important. Niyam, Shaucha. Shaucha means cleanliness, not only of the body but also of the mind. Santosha. Santosha means having content. Tapas means rigorous practice of various things need to be done regularly. Austerity. Swadhyaya, self-study. Do not study anybody. Oh, that person is doing like this, that person is doing like that. No need. No need. What we have to do is we have to study ourselves. How I am thinking, whether I am thinking that whatever I am thinking is correct or not. Ishvara Pranidhana. Ishvara Pranidhana means surrendering to the cosmic consciousness. And Ishvara is present in all of us. It does not mean that we surrender to negative people. We surrender to the positivity within each and every person, within each and every aspect of the nature. Okay. Now, after this, some purification happened when things became slightly, red hot, and then Wechsler came in. Wechsler intelligence scale for children. Wechsler preschool and primary school scale of intelligence. He graded all the things. Then adult version also he brought. That is where things became slightly better. And he fortunately he did not have any ill intentions. And you can see the kind of beautiful smile on his face when he is conducting the test. Those the other two did not have smile on their face. Okay, so that is the beauty. When you enjoy your work, when your work is for others, not for your own glory, there will be a beautiful spiritual smile automatically coming. So this is his scale of IQ: verbal performance, verbal comprehension, working memory, vocabulary, similarity, information comprehension, arithmetic, digit span, letter number sequencing. Then in this performance area, picture completion, then block design, matrix reasoning, digital symbol coding and symbol search. All these things, I think we see lots and lots of games, mind games, lots and lots of games for children are made based on these kind of tests, so that children do well in these kind of tests. Overall, IQ has been improving. However, when it becomes like the herd, overall herd becomes high IQ, at that time you will see what happens, and we are all seeing what happens, and that time the other aspects open up. Okay, does this question, like one of my favorite questions, okay, does spirituality solve a real problem in the way that entrepreneurship really does? Beautiful, beautiful. I am a fan of this person, whoever this person is. I have not seen the name, but yes, this question needs to be understood and needs to be answered. Very nice question. Now, first of all, let us understand what entrepreneurship is. The activity of setting up a business or businesses, taking on a financial risks in the hope of profit. So entrepreneurship as such, now there are something called as social entrepreneurship also. As such is as a phenomenon where we are, trying to achieve individual goals. Okay. Problem. He has asked about real problem. So what is a problem? A matter or a situation regarded as unwelcome or harmful and needing to be dealt with and overcome. So we have to solve a problem. Correct? And problem is not good for us. Now solve. How to solve? To find an answer to, explanation, or means of effectively dealing with a problem or mystery. Okay. So what we have to do is we have to solve a problem effectively. Now this word entrepreneurship is being used after 1950s. You can see here, and it's peaking now. In 2000s, it has been peaking. Okay, we will pause here. We will go towards the whole thing now. Whatever I am showing is the answer to this question. Okay, can anybody identify what this is? Do you know what event this was? It's not Big Bang, it's not Meteor, it's not Star Meteor. Oh, January 1986 shuttle exploding. You are very near, George. It is 2003 event. It is the Columbia shuttle where, yes, explosion of the shuttle. Yes. Thank you very much. Yes. 2003. Yes, 2003. Anurag Singh, you have, yes, Kalpana Chawla incident. Yes. Anurag Singh, you have written very nicely here that, yes, where people were confused about their own identity. Yes. We all are confused. We have to be very honest with ourselves. We all are confused. We are on the path of relieving our confusion. Okay. Very nice. So we will move on to this Columbia shuttle thing. So this is Columbia shuttle. This is how it looked when it was intact. And 7 highly intelligent space scientists were no more. And why did this happen? Launch on 16th of January. This is external fuel tank. You can see solid rocket boosters. And attempted re-entry on 1st of February 2003. There was a crack in the leading edge, caused an impact, allowing the superheated gas to penetrate, and wing interior melts and disintegrates. Okay. Now, obviously, these things will not go unnoticed. And there was a deep analysis of this. Okay. The foam strike was not observed live. The thing which hit, okay. The only after the shuttle was orbiting the Earth, did NASA launch imagery view reveal that the wing had been hit. So while going up only, it was damaged. Foam strikes during launch were not uncommon, and the shuttle program managers elected not to take on orbit images of Columbia to visually assess any potential damage. They knew, but they did not do further analysis. Instead, NASA's debris assessment team mathematically modeled. See here, why are you going towards theory? When practically there is a damage, you are supposed to take photographs. Modeled the foam strike, but could not reach any definitive conclusion about the state of the shuttle's wing. The mission continued. This is the point where we have to understand that there was, even if people are intelligent, even if high IQ, it may make you arrogant. It may make you overlooking kind of a person. Okay. Things like these have happened to me also. My seniors, maybe my professors. I saw all these things, and then I understood that if I also follow the same path, I will be wasting my life, and maybe I will be wasting few more people's lives by becoming just like them. So somewhere we have to come out of the rat race and then understand the things deeper manner. Okay. In August 2003, the CAIB issued its final report. Behind the direct cause of foam strike, the report revealed very deep critiques at NASA's pre and post launch decision making, painting a picture of an agency dominated by milestone obsessed middle management. Just contemplate on this and see, the whole world is about that only. It's not only Columbia shuttle thing, it's about everything, everywhere. We are behind numbers. That focus on narrow group specific work and reporting without a complementary focus on cross department integration. Here, cross department, you move towards higher thing. Cross various kind of countries, should we come together and should we work together? Yes. And communication, should we communicate with each other? Should we communicate with the countries, neighboring countries who are going through a lot? And should we communicate with the enemies also? Yes. At least as much to the loss of shuttle as did the foam impact. So it means that the human interaction part, it was very shallow and it was not up to the mark, and because of that only this foam impact event, it was damaged for a long time actually. Those accusations held a faint echo of familiarity. Many of them had been raised 17 years earlier by the Rogers Commission investigating Challenger's destruction. One more example I will give you. See, NASA is also a kind of entrepreneurship. We have to agree to that. Okay, it's entrepreneurship of the country to show that we are superior to rest of the countries. You will all agree to that. The Russian space mission, then the United States space mission, everything. We are all competing with each other. Who will go and find out the life on other planet? That's all. Okay. So this competition leads to some kind of issues. Okay. Now, Toyota company recall. This also United States people will be able to make out this very well. In August 2009, crash of Lexus in San Diego killed 4 people. Cause identified as pedal stuck under the floor mat. And this was not the first event. This event was happening infrequently since 1990s. And after detailed evaluation, they recalled 4 million vehicles of Toyota, unintended acceleration problems. January 2010, Toyota temporarily suspends the production of several of its vehicles in North America. Just imagine, one of the leading countries, one of the leading companies in the car manufacturing. Toyota pays 16.4 million fine to US regulators for being too slow to recall vehicles and defective gas pedals. Now, the problems with entrepreneurship are increasing. The use of the word entrepreneurship is also increasing. And here you see, at the same time, the use of the word spirituality is also increasing. What does this indicate? What does this indicate? It means that when you are in problem, you try to find the solution. And when you are not able to find the solution, you seek a different dimension and different understanding of the problem. So my dear friend who has asked this question, can spirituality solve the problems just like entrepreneurship does? First of all, both the things. Entrepreneurship also creates problems. Spirituality also creates problem. Spirituality as such, not spirituality, but mixture of spirituality and religion can cause problems. Spirituality will solve the problems. Yes, definitely. Even the multi-billion-dollar companies also, they are using spirituality only to solve their problems. Okay. So this is how Toyota works around their problems. They have kept one thing as respect for people, respect and teamwork. Then they have kept continuous improvement. There is something called as Kaizen, challenge, Genchi, Genbutsu, and there is something called as Ikigai also nowadays. One book is very famous, no? Ikigai. So continuous improvement, they also seek continuous improvement. Okay, and for continuous improvement to happen, what we need to do? We need to explore our identity, explore our understanding of our own life. That is what even Toyota wants to do, and Toyota is doing. So it means that spirituality, and I think with these two examples, I feel that all of you also will agree that spirituality is the solution to the problems created by entrepreneurship also. Okay, and maybe many a times entrepreneurships create new problems. For example, various social media apps, various social media companies, they have created what not. We should not go into the details, but we all know that various social media apps have been responsible for death of people on the road because of road traffic accidents, because of the suicidal tendencies which happen, because of the online abuse. Because of that also people commit suicide also, and number of times hatred elevates because of various things trending. Okay, and that leads to riots also. We all know this. One very small example, you can extrapolate it to various aspects, various fields, not a problem. What is the challenge in yoga or life? Yes, problems and solutions simultaneously. Good. And when we get too much zoomed out, there are so many aspects of improvement which can be overlooked. Yes, but too much zooming in also is not good. Proper balance has to come. What is the challenge in yoga or life? First of all, what is yoga? And as we know that Maharshi Patanjali has told us, yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Okay, so yoga is nothing but the nirodha of tendency. Vritti means tendency of the mind. Okay, so what is vritti? Vritti we have to understand. Vritta in Hindi, it is circle. So if we see ourselves, we have looping thoughts. We all have looping thoughts. We will be thinking same thing again and again. It is our tendency. That was understood already thousands of years ago. And that tendency, that circular thinking tendency has to be stopped. It has to be removed. Now, there are 5 tendencies which have been explained by Maharshi Patanjali: Pramana, Viparyaya, Vikalpa, Nidra and Smriti. I'll go from down. Smriti means memory. Nidra means sleep. That is also our tendency. We sleep, we need sleep. 1/3 of our life goes into sleep. Vikalpa means distorted thinking. The things which are not real will come into the mind. And Viparyaya means telling lies, alternatives to truth, and Pramana means the truth. What we should do is, we should put our mind into finding the truth. However, finding the truth also becomes obsession, and many a times that itself gets converted into Vikalpa, and people believe in the things which they think that they are seeking the truth. However, they are not seeking the truth. It happens. These are very much. So here, one more example. Can anybody identify this couple? Can anybody identify this couple? This also happened in United States. This couple is from Kerala. I think the boy's name is Vishwanath, and the lady's name I don't remember. But this, what are your observations? Yes, they died recently in US. Yes. What are your observations from their photo? One very false understanding about life in youngsters is life is all about chill, life is all about exploring, life is all about going out, life is all about, doing whatever you want, like that kind of a feeling is there. So here, could anybody give some showing off they lost their life? Yes. Okay, fine. So here things are slightly weird, correct? Something is weird in this photo, correct? They are standing at the edge of the cliff, and I do not want to comment on their appearance as such, but however, what I came to know is both of them were drunk when they fell down from the height. Okay. Now there is a psychological term called as weird, which really exists, and it has come out after honest analysis of new generation psychologists. Okay. I will go towards this weird thing. Weird. This acronym exists. It has been published in psychology journals. Western, educated, industrial, rich, democratic. Democracy not in a good sense. Democracy only in terms of doing some kind of processes, that's all. Protests and all these things. Okay. Now what is this? Then somebody asked this question also. Is there an internationally recognized scale and a tool to measure spiritual quotient? Means as if whatever comes from the west is Ganga Jal, is Amrit, and we have to drink that. Okay. So that is the kind of tone this question has. Dr. Mayur, you are going to speak on spiritual quotient, but is it internationally recognized, or you are giving your own ideas about Patanjali? Let us see what West has to speak on this. This is the research which has happened recently in 2008 after the study of more than 4,000 articles. 4,000 is a big number. Over 20 years, found that around 95% of behavioral science research from US, Europe and English speaking countries like Australia. But these countries make only up to 12% of the world's population. The same analysis found that 68% of subjects are from United States, and more than 2/3 of American psychology research subjects are undergraduate students. Not even children, not even professionals, not even elderly people. 68% is only undergraduate college students. So here, this is called as selection bias. Here we are selecting things based on a very narrow population. So our understanding itself is limited in this aspect. Okay. I hope that this slide gives the gravity of understanding about this question. Do we really have to take whatever international scientists, publishers have to speak? No, we can't take it because most probably it is based on only 12% of the population, and their understanding of spirituality is very limited. Okay. And this is also a statement from the same paper. American college students aren't representative of all human beings. They are actually a pretty unusual subgroup. Now, how American students are? American students are this. Do you know what is this? I think those who are from US will be able to answer this. What is this event? Oh, Jyoti Kiran. Immediately, like this, Jyoti Kiran has answered. Spring break. Yes, beautiful. Very nice. So this is the spring break in US. I don't want to COVID party alla re. Okay. So I do not want to go into the details of this. I do not think that they drink lassi and majjige there. I do not think that they will have some Ayurvedic diet there. I do not think that they are going to behave, they are going to do meditation over there. It's a rave part, okay? And for this, the colleges are closed for 1 or 2 weeks in United States, okay? Now, this is spring break. Spring in India is called as Vasanta Rutu. And Vasanta Rutu is celebrated in terms of Vasanta Panchami, Saraswati Vandana. And you see here, children are praying and devoting themselves to Ma Saraswati. However, as we all know, in India also, we are going towards the American kind of party culture in colleges. We all know that. So in this picture, no, what exactly is happening? We are offering ourselves, Ishvara Pranidhan. And if you want to speak in terms of modern language, then it is gratitude which we are trying to express. Okay? So those of you who want the latest technology related ideas about what is happening is this one. So this is brain, and there are some few areas which are activated. Here it is behavioral benevolence and charity. So obviously, if you do that spring break party participants study, is there any behavioral benevolence there? No. Is there any charity there? No. Is there any gratitude there? No. Active neutral journaling? No. So if we are doing all these things, then this is what is happening in the brain. And one particular area of the brain gets activated. Now when you close your eyes and do meditation, actually where do your eyes go automatically? They go up towards the center, and that is exactly that area, the base of the frontal lobes. Okay, so fMRI, this study is called as functional MRI, where we understand the increase in the blood flow of the brain with particular activity. Okay, so this is the fMRI location of gratitude. I will go in slightly detail of this gratitude, but before that, one person had asked one more question: is high IQ an attribute of neural network or God given? Now obviously high IQ is an attribute of neural network. However, this whole body exists because of what? Because of whom? We don't know. And to that we have given one word called as God, cosmic consciousness, collective consciousness, universal consciousness, this and that and all. Various deities also have been named. The goddess of knowledge is called as Saraswati, and so on and so forth. Okay. So basically, obviously it is attribute of neural network. However, if you go towards the understanding that from where this neural network came, then you will understand that there is something beyond all of us, which we call it as God, only has given us this kind of structure as well as function. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now that area which I was speaking about, no, that area is called as ventromedial prefrontal cortex. Okay, and it is an important brain region supporting the altruistic change that follows from the gratitude practice. Okay. Now, by knowing this, what exactly we have achieved? We have achieved a point where we can persuade people that, see, if you are doing like this part of the brain is getting lightened up. Okay, and these are the studies. If you want, you can take a screenshot and you can go through these studies. For you only I have taken this. So the essence is that a lot of studies, even scientists also want to do and understand that what exactly. And here in 21st century, these many scientists have tried to prove that gratitude is good for you. And where when we go thousands of years back, where one Maharshi Patanjali has told, Ishvara Pranidhana, surrender yourself, be grateful always, be santosha, be content, do always self-study, active neutral journaling, that is swadhyaya. Okay. Then Shaucha means keep your mind clean, all these things, tapas, like that. So all these things are already had been discussed in detail. I am not going into the details of Patanjali Yoga Sutra because it will go on forever. Okay, so I am just giving a comparison where thousands of years back already all these things have been explained. Now only what we are getting is MRI correlates of all these things. Okay, and there is nothing great in proving that. However, it is important that most of the population needs to understand this and execute this in the life. Having faith and trusting in spiritual tools always has to overcome the logical mind. Yes, please explain and give depth. Thank you. So I think we have to understand that why this logical mind comes in between and disturbs us. Correct? Children, they enjoy. Correct? Children, they enjoy the bliss. They do so beautiful things, and many a times we get emotion, we get choked because of their beautiful way of behaving, their beautiful way of loving us, loving others unconditionally. So somewhere the chitta, the individual consciousness, divides itself into various grades. Okay, because of various practices which we do as we grow. So we will discuss first of all chitta. What is chitta? That we have to understand, no? Because this word is new for all of you, maybe, or maybe you may be into the yoga journey for quite a bit of time. However, always revision is always good. Chitta is the word through which Maharshi Patanjali has defined the yoga. Entire purpose of yoga is to realize unknown. What is that unknown? Now what is known? Known is chitta. Chitta is what? Chitta is combination of the body, combination of mind, and when we are conscious of our breathing, we may be able to control our body in a better manner. The body contains two things: senses which perceive the things, and the karmendriyas, means the things which perform action. Now unconscious mind is also active mind and the latent mind, and then completely unknown mind is also there. Instead of this, I will show you one more photo. So when our ancestors were understanding their existence, they found out that there is something called as universal thing which is unknown, which is not, we are not able to understand it, and it is not at the material level. It is called as Purusha. And then that non-material thing gets manifested into material because it wants to understand itself, most probably. That is called as Moola Prakriti. Now Moola Prakriti means the basic nature, material nature, can be of three gunas, that is Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. I don't want to go into the details of that. It will derail us from the topic. Then from that arrives cosmic intelligence, that is called as Mahat. And from that cosmic intelligence arrives Chitta, that is individual intelligence, individual consciousness. Okay. Now within this Chitta, we have body, we have Manas, that is mind, and we have Buddhi, that is intellect, knowledge. Okay. Now from where do we get the knowledge? From Gnanendriyas, that is our eyes, our nose, our taste buds, our ears, and our skin, that is our touch. That gives knowledge. At the same time, it gives us emotions also. That is where the Manas will be rolling. Okay. Now body performs the actions depending upon what Gnanendriyas give us. Those actions are speech, speaking, as you ask, I answer; holding, that is holding the things; walking, walking with the legs; excretion, yes, we have to remove the toxic products from the body; and we reproduce. These Gnanendriyas have functions which are called as hearing function, touch function, vision function, taste function, and smell function, which are called as Pancha Tanmatras. And when the body we talk about, body is arrived or derived from space. Obviously, we are inside this space, so obviously we are derived from space. Air, we need air. Fire, we have fire within us. In each and every cell also there is fire. If you want details, I can tell you later on. There are many of my videos also, you can go through that. Water, 70% of our body is water, and earth, the minerals which are present in our body. But what happens is, as we grow, we get attached to this body. We like this body very much. Why? Because of various kinds of stimulations which we get from our Gnanendriyas, and it gives some kind of satisfaction to us, and some kind of addiction happens, and that gives ego. And because of this ego, what happens is our link to our chitta gets disconnected, and that is how we forget our true selves. Now, knowing this theoretically is very easy. It's very easy. Oh wow, this we can remember also, we can rotify it also. We can write a very beautiful article on this also. However, to realize this, to enjoy the release of ego, to enjoy the presence of unperturbed chitta, that is the ultimate experience. And that comes with practice. It does not come with just understanding it theoretically. Okay? So Chitta Bhumi, now we understood that Chitta is combination of body, mind, knowledge and the individual consciousness. So what is this Chitta? Chitta is Mudha. Mudha means completely dull. Okay? And lots of bad things also happen. Lust, anger, greed, infatuation. You can see people who will be continuous about, they will be talking only about sex, only about money. Then there will be Kshipta, distracted people. They will be continuously complaining, and they will be continuously talking about only themselves. Oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, and all these things. Then there will be Vikshipta, who will be having some idea, they will be coming out. I think most of us are Vikshiptas, where we try to find out the right path. Okay? And Ekagrata, where we come to one point, we know this is the goal of life, we have to go on this path. And then finally comes the Niruddha, where complete non-attachment, there is no attachment, supreme dispassion. Okay, so completely liberated. So here you can see also lowest class, general, aspirants, yogis and perfect yogis. Okay, so this is a chart which you can take out, and you can try to analyze yourselves. Various things you will understand. We may fluctuate in these aspects, that is also there. But when majority of your time, conscious time, is spent in one particular phase, then that phase will become perfected, and slowly you will come to the complete perfect phase, that is perfect yogi, that is Niruddha. So this we have discussed. Pramana is correct knowledge, Viparya is incorrect knowledge, fantasy is Vikalpa, then Nidra is deep sleep, and then recollection of memory is Smriti. Somewhere Smriti plays with us, the memories they play with us, we all know that, correct? After knowing the right and wrong, still human beings in continuation of doing the wrong. What is the reason behind that, and how can we help them? Very nice, very beautiful, very innocent question. So, sir or madam, whoever it is, root cause analysis is extremely important. We should not scold our children. We should see why they behaved in that manner. Many of the times I speak about parenting and children. One reason is I myself am a parent. Second thing is my wife is a child psychiatrist. So we discuss lots of things, and if the problems of our human race have to be solved, we need to learn excellent parenting techniques. Because as I discussed in the early part of the lecture also, being a mother is one of the greatest responsibilities, even bigger responsibility than holding the prime minister or presidential post. Okay, so root cause analysis is extremely important. Whenever somebody does a mistake, do not go. We saw those examples. No, I did not discuss about Toyota at that time. because already we have understood that there are some big time screw ups in the companies, like we saw in the NASA. So root cause analysis is extremely important. And after that, in the NASA after 2003, the whole crew was changed. They removed so many people and they hired so many new people. So root cause analysis. Now what is the root of all the suffering? Correct? That is the question. Patanjali has very beautifully explained, described about raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, and before that avidya and asmita. So basically avidya, if you see here, is the root cause of all the issues. When we become ignorant, we develop ego, that is asmita. We start craving for things because of our ego. We like, no, this belongs to me, this country belongs to me, this money belongs to me, this lady belongs to me. There's so many things we see all around things. Okay, dvesha, aversion. Oh, that fellow is more successful than me, let me screw him up, let me do some bad things to him. That also happens. And all these things, basically whatever we are doing is we are fearing death, and we think that one day we are going to die. Let us enjoy, let us try to do whatever we want to do. And that is how all these problems, they multiply, they keep on multiplying. And these things are called as pancha kleshas: avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. Now first IQ, then EQ. Has SQ been accepted? One more person. How to build a great EQ in spite of having a good IQ? Very nice question. Now, okay, here, see, this is what is our mind, which will play with us, and we will think that we will try to find out mistake. So the topic is IQ to SQ, not IQ and SQ. I am going to take you from IQ to SQ. Okay. So here still we will go into EQ. What is EQ? IQ is ability to think, EQ is ability to feel. Measure cognitive intelligence, measure emotional intelligence. Ability to apply knowledge, ability to adjust. The problem is that brother-in-law phenomenon. He told no, that my brother-in-law always wants to prove himself right. There is one very beautiful anecdote. I think many of the people from India, they might be knowing it. Shankaracharya and Mundan Mishra. Do you remember that? See, most of us are told that story in a way where there was a debate, and then Mundan Mishra was losing it, and then Mundan Mishra's wife Bharti ji, she came into the play and she told that we are Grihasthas, so I am Ardhangini and you have to defeat me also. So Shankaracharya told that I am a Brahmachari. If I am a Brahmachari, then I have to have the experience of Grihasthashram. So he enters into the body of one king, and then he learns things or about Grihasthashram. All these things in the divine vision, Bharti ji understands. And that is why when he arrives after coming out of the body of that king, Bharti ji tells that it's okay, you win. I don't want to have any more debate. Okay. So the question here is, who won? Actually, who won? What do you think? Who won? Did Shankaracharya win? Do you think? Or else, whatever we are told, Shankaracharya won, Shankaracharya won. If we take EQ into consideration, it was the ability to adjust. It was that selflessness, and it was that, altruism, the highest level of altruism by Bharti ji, telling that, okay, fine, I made you to run for winning. That much itself is enough. And okay, I accept my defeat. But by accepting the defeat, actually she won this debate. So it depends upon in what phase you are, whether you are in IQ phase or in EQ phase or in SQ phase. Depending upon that, this story will entertain you in different aspects. Okay, very nice. So this is what it is, EQ, ability to adjust. Now one very nice scientist, Daniel Goleman, he has coined this term emotional intelligence, and he had come up with beautiful 50 questions are there about self-awareness, managing emotions, motivating oneself, empathy and social skills. So how to help people find spirituality? Very nice question. So it's all about motivation. So to find spirituality, to help others find spirituality, obviously we should have a great emotional quotient. Emotional quotient does not mean that we drain ourselves emotionally. We elevate ourselves emotionally. That is the pursuit of emotional quotient. Okay. How to help people find spirituality? So it requires motivation. Okay. And for motivation, what we need to understand is what we are thinking, what we are feeling, and what we truly are. This is by Dana Zohar and Ian Marshall. Spiritual Capital book is there. In that book, they have given grades or scales of motivation. Okay. So they have given plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then neutral is there. Then minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now most of our life is about this kind of things. Self-assertion. See, what I spoke is right. What you spoke is not right. Why are you speaking like this? Anger. Then please listen to me. Please understand me. That is craving. Or if you don't listen to me, you will be jailed. That is fear. Then anguish. Deeper and deeper level of, and then not bothering about people. Selling something which is of no use. Apathy. Guilt and shame. When you do all these things and you feel that you are gone into a place where you can't return, then you become depersonalized, and you see the people who are drug addicts, alcoholics and high level manipulators. They are all depersonalized people. Okay. And most of our lives are around these negative motivating factors. Most of us work based on fear. That is the point where we have to improve. Neutral life does not work on neutral. If you put a car which is in neutral position and it is on the slope, it will definitely go down only. It's not never going to come up. Okay. So, and if you keep it at the horizontal level, it's never going to move here or there, in neither front nor back. Okay. What about exploring? So first thing, when you want to help people with spirituality, first thing which you have to do is explore yourself. Explore the spirituality within you. Become gregarious, become helpful to all the people around you. Develop some power. Power in the sense is not about political power or holding a position. As Robin Sharma, he propagates this idea very much. I like that thought of his, is leadership without title. We should all be leaders without title. We should not be, oh, I am doing this work, I need a title. No. If you do this, you will not go to the next phase. The next phase is called as mastery. The mastery comes only when we are doing it with good intention, that is generativity, that is creativity and higher service. And finally, when we do it for all the people, irrespective of whatever has happened to us, irrespective of whatever the other countries or other human beings have done to us, we still want to help them, then it becomes world soul. And when we are established in our own true self, because of release of all the bondages, we become enlightened. So this is very beautiful way of explaining the scales of motivation, and it's very, very important for all of us to go through this so that we know how to motivate people with positive intention. Okay. So when you are in a company, you are in a profession, don't force people to follow you. Don't force people to accept whatever you are telling by fear of your position. Take them with you. Become more and more creative, more and more generative. And think that on a long term, it should help them, not only help you and rise up in your position. Okay. It's very, very beautiful way of explaining the scales of motivation. Okay. Now, I have to bring Patanjali also, no, because I have told Patanjali Yoga Sutras. मैत्री करुणा मुदितोपेक्षाणाम सुख दुख पुण्य अपुण्य विषयाणाम भावनात् चित्त प्रसादनम. Maitri means friendship, unconditional friendship. That can only happen when we come out of hierarchy. Karuna means compassion. You can love unconditionally, mudita. All these things plus upeksha of negative and positive changes happening, pleasure and pain, virtue and vice. You don't get excited by virtue, you don't get depressed by the vice. In these subjects, when you have balanced your bhavanas, your emotions, then automatically chitta prasadanam will happen. The consciousness from individual, it will become diffuse, and that leads to happiness. Now here I am speaking since last almost 1 hour 45 minutes maybe. It gives immense happiness to me when I share all these thoughts with all of us, because I know that my consciousness is just a part of collective consciousness. If I really want to enjoy more and more, I should share more and more, and I should be able to connect, love all the people, all the living creatures, and find the bliss in each and every aspect of life, whether it is sukha or dukkha, whether it is punya or apunya. So that is why always remember that pleasure is temporary, happiness is permanent. And for that, Maharshi Patanjali already had told us, do 3 important things: Maitri, unconditional friendship; Karuna, unconditional compassion; then Mudita, that is unconditional love; and neglect the rest of the good or bad things depending upon the situation. Somebody told that I am interested to know about neuroplasticity and Yoga Sutra connection. Now, what is neuroplasticity? Neuroplasticity is a phenomenon through which more and more neurons are recruited for a particular function. For example, a person gets a stroke. Because of the stroke, some neurons they die. However, what happens is, because of regular practice, regular physiotherapy, the neurons around that area which are intact, however not functional, will develop the function, and they will help the person to regain partially or completely the paralysis. Okay. So neuroplasticity is all about recruiting the neurons. Same way, if we take an example of Olympic runner, when they are practicing, that practice is called as abhyasa. When they are practicing, more and more neurons, they get connected in a strong manner. The synaptic activity becomes fast and brisk, through which they develop the capacity to run faster and faster. For that, we can't do it with judgment. We should do it with relaxation. If we get too much occupied with the results of the scenario, then what happens is more and more neurons, they get confused, because there are different parts of the brain which will be acting. That is why Patanjali had told, prayatna shaitilyananta samapattibhyam. When you are doing prayatna, active effort in shaitilya, means relaxation of the body, through that ananta samapatti, ananta neuroplasticity will come. Ananta means infinite, samapatti means, here they have told that original form completion, that is called as samadhi. In our worldly affairs, we can tell that we will get lots of memory power, lots of physical power, and all these things we can tell. Okay. So that is prayatna shaitilya. Okay. By practicing yoga, is it possible to attain some level of SQ? As a layman, is it possible to attain SQ with all these difficulties around us? Yes. And one more time, yes. Now, we all know that always, wherever we are, difficulties always will be there. There is no doubt. Difficulties are bound to happen. Even our birth is difficult. Even our death is also difficult. We don't remember how we were born, but the doctor knows how you came out. The doctor knows, the mother knows how much pain she had. So difficulties are always there. Okay, there is no doubt about that. But how Patanjali has told about the difficulties? So this is what Patanjali has told. Patanjali has told Vyadhi means disease, Sthana means sluggishness or laziness, Samshaya means doubt. So this question actually is a doubt. However, temporary samshaya is good. Temporary you have a doubt, good, no problem. But continuously if you are doubting only whether this will work or not, whether that will work or not, then you are wasting your time. Pramada means carelessness or casual attitude. Alasya means physical laziness. Avirati, indulging into sensual pleasures again and again, it leads to problems. As we saw in one example, no, when somebody had asked about somebody having extramarital affairs. Extramarital affairs, nobody will give presidential or medal and Bharat Ratna and all these things. Okay, it will lead to arrest only, and it will lead to marital discord also. So we know that sensual pleasures, they lead to problems. Bhranti darshana means illusion. We are illuded by various things, like as we saw that Shilpa Shetty photo of yoga. You will think that okay, doing all these things are fine, and that is how you see lots and lots of Instagram profiles. They are based on exposing themselves and putting scanty clothes and doing yoga in different positions, where means it's not necessary to expose yourself in that manner. However, they do that thinking that their followers will increase. If it is their intention, then they are living under illusion that they are doing yoga. Okay? Alabdha bhumikatva, inability to understand the aim and intention of doing yoga. Anavasthita tattvani means inability to progress, inability to hold on to the progress which we have done. Sometimes what happens is, once we develop some, like suppose I become slightly famous, you have invited me, now so many followers will increase, and after that I will think that, oh see, I am a yoga celebrity. Then I am losing my plot. Whatever I am doing, I am not doing for becoming famous. I am doing for chitta prasadana, means the diffusion of consciousness. So if that is the intention, then okay. Otherwise, illusion, otherwise losing the plot. Okay. Chitta vikshepa means scattered consciousness. Antaraya means all these are obstacles. These are 9 obstacles. In addition to that, dukkha means sadness. Daurmanasya means weak mind. Angame jayatva means weak body. And shvasa prashvasa, vikshepa sahabhuva means irregular breathing also leads to the scattering of consciousness. So that is why previous shloka, sukha dukkha punya apunya, this is also important. Okay, we have to maintain the stability. Doctor, we have read in the history that many great people have experienced divine presence physically, but at present time, can we see the physical presence of God? If yes, please advise how to get divine darshana. First of all, we have to understand that God is within us. And if it is within us, then it is within each and every creature, and each and every atom there is God. That is extremely important. If you can see the God in every aspect of our existence truly, not just because somebody told and not just because you read somewhere, you have to feel it. You have to come to that phase of contemplation and experience. Then the divine darshana is possible, because at that time you will tell Aham Brahmasmi. I am myself Brahman. I am myself the God. Tattvamasi. That is that. Okay. So how can you say God is existing? If don't, then how? Elaborate within the limit of modern science. If you can provide medical evidence, would appreciate much. So about this, I have spoken in detail in one of my lecture called as Spine and Spirit. I think already we are in the end phase of this, so I request you, if you are watching this and others also who are watching this, please go to the lecture called as Spine and Spirit on my channel called as Mayur V Kaku, and you will get the idea that what exactly is God. Okay. However, I would like to quote Rigveda here in the Nasadiya Suktas of Rigveda, Dasham Mandala. I will not go into the complete detail because of lack of time. However, I will take you to the last. Whence all creation had its origin, He, whether He fashioned it or whether He did not. He means God here we are talking about. He is who surveys it, all forms highest heaven. He knows, or maybe He also does not know. This is a sukta about creation of the universe. You can go through it, you will come to know that the contemplation was whether God is there or not. That question is there in Rigveda, but ultimately they conclude that God is there because something there is there beyond us which has started all these things, and probably God does not have awareness. It is raw intelligence. It is raw consciousness. It wants to understand itself. The Purusha wants to understand itself. That is why Purusha became individual. And then through that individual, it wants to understand itself. That is what is individual consciousness, which wants to. That's why we all have that internal longing, that internal desire, no? I want to know who truly I am. I want to know who. Everybody on this planet has those questions. However, some people, they go down to a very bad level, that is called as Mudha. But however, most of us who develop some interest, we lead ourselves towards Ekagrata and Niruddha state. Okay? Yes, we have done studies. Medical studies are also done. There was one very big misunderstanding for a long time that God spot is there in the brain, and many books also have mentioned that, many particles also have been written. But later on, as we went on understanding without bias, then we came to know that there is no God spot in the brain. There is no one particular spot where you can tell that, oh, from here we experience God. No, it's not there. And here is the SPECT image, means it's all with relation to the functions and metabolism in the brain, where we see that attention area when you are baseline and attention when you are contemplating the God are slightly different. And you see that most of the areas, they become silent. Most of the areas, they become silent. Silence is the bliss actually. Okay. With respect to the Yoga Sutras, please suggest the hints for incorporating eightfold yoga into my lifestyle. For example, an Ayurvedic diet. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and compassion. Okay, thank you very much. You are most welcome. Specifically, switching from an external focus to an internal focus late in life. In life, nothing is late. The moment you have the question, you are on the right path. And it does not require much time. People tell that, okay, this, that, but with the practice of Gnana Yoga, we can have instant self-realization. Dinacharya. Dinacharya means daily routine has to be improved. The most important aspect of Ayurveda is not only diet. It's not only consuming some herbal medicine. It's about developing a healthy lifestyle. That is called as daily routine, Dinacharya. For Dinacharya related concepts and understandings, I request you to go through one of my lectures where I have spoken about, can lack of sleep cause cancer? Neuroscience about the pineal gland and the melatonin and all these things. With respect to modern science, I have explained that. So you can go through that lecture, which will help you in understanding. Request you to put light on SQ, how it will be after 10 years from this day. Consider the present day trend continues without drastic changes in the future. Being in the present moment will definitely improve our SQ. Okay, and individually and collectively after 10 years. So right now, when we take a good action, Right now we develop Maitri, Karuna, Mudita and Upekshana. Then we will be able to, that onus, that responsibility is on our shoulders. The people who are listening now, it's on our shoulders, that we will be the flag holder of spiritual quotient. We do our job correctly, automatically the things will improve. We did not think about the political scenario. We did not think about the religious scenario. We should only think about the spiritual level which we are developing. And definitely, if we keep our minds open, if we keep our abhyasa and vairagya intact, then definitely we will be able to achieve great level of spiritual quotient collectively. Now, I had read somewhere that at least 15%, 15% of the population for any country needs to be spiritual in a true sense. Then only that country will develop health and happiness in true sense, not on papers, in people's lives. Okay. So with that understanding, thank you very much all of you for your patient listening, for your active participation. I hope that I could satisfy your queries, and it was a great experience to talk, to speak to all of you, to chat with all of you. And yes, we are all on the same journey, maybe in different geographical areas, but in the energy realm we are all together. I invite you to the practice of Brahma Muhurat Yoga. This hashtag is there. If you go through this hashtag, you will find many videos which I regularly practice 4:30 to 5:30, and this we are doing with many of the people all across the planet on YouTube live. So you can also start in your own geographical region where your Brahma Muhurta means 96 minutes before sunrise. So you can start in your region also. That moment when we are doing the practice in Brahma Muhurta will help to develop collective consciousness, will help to purify the consciousness all across the planet. And this has been called as the Maharshi effect. If many of you would have gone through it, you would find it. Maharshi effect is not that one person is preaching thousands and lakhs of people. It's about developing that energy of Maharshi within all of us. Then only, as we discussed few minutes back, 15% of the population needs to come in a correct way into the spiritual realm. Thank you very much. Dhanyavad.